So before I get started painting on my paper, I'm going to wet these because these watercolors are kind of dried out. They haven't been used in a while. And today we're only using primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. So you really just want to put your water into the red, the yellow, and the blue and let them start softening up while you're getting your materials ready to paint. All right, so I'm just going to add a little bit of water to all of those. Okay, so now we have outlined our pumpkin and we are ready to start adding some color in here and painting. We're going to paint basic colors: orange, green, green, purple, all right? But we are not going to use the orange or the green or the purple. We're going to just use primary colors. So for orange, we're going to use the yellow and red. For green, we're going to use the yellow and blue. And for purple, you'll use blue and red. And we're going to let those mix with wet and wet on the paper. So we have to review wet and wet a little bit. And that just means that we wet the paper first and then we add the color. So if I take each section of this pumpkin by itself, I'm just going to wet the paper inside that section. So all I'm doing is just adding water to make the paper wet inside that one section. We're just going to work a section at a time because you want the watercolor to run around in that wet section. So you don't want to wet this down and then move on. It'll dry by the time you get back to it. So we'll just do this one section right here, nice and wet. And I'm going to add the lighter color first, which for orange with red and yellow is the yellow. So I'm going to add the yellow in there. And just paint that whole section yellow. Not painting on the glue, just painting within the glue in that section right there. Nice and yellow. I want to get it pretty bright, so I'm going to keep going over it here. There we go. It helps if you kind of wet your watercolors first so that they're a little bit soft and ready to rock and roll by the time you get there. There we go. So I'm going to paint that one section that's already wet with yellow. Notice I keep getting more water, getting some color, and just making it completely yellow when we know our end goal is going to be orange. So now we're ready for the second color. So you're going to take that red and get it on your brush, and you're just going to take the red and you're just going to touch it around the edges. So I'm just kind of dabbing all around the edges there with my red paint. Now we know that red and yellow makes orange, so these are going to naturally mix together by themselves. And we also know that the sections of this pumpkin move in and out of space. Like each one of these where the lines are is actually further away in space. So it would be darker. And that's why we're doing it around the edges, because this is definitely the darker of the two colors. Now I've got both of those primary colors on there, and it's going to start to seep. The red will seep into the yellow and it's going to start mixing orange, or sometimes you can even kind of help it by moving your paper along. So I can tilt it up a little bit. You see how this orange or the red is starting to move? And it just, of course, depends on how much water you have on there. The more water you have, the more seepage you're going to get. You can see these are starting to turn orange already a little bit. So you can move it around a little bit. If it's really wet, be careful doing this because it'll just drip over the glue lines and make a big fat mess. And when you get it like you want it, or you're willing to be patient and let it do its thing, then you can move on to the next section. So here's one that I have done previously, and you can see how the red kept moving around and kind of soaking into the yellow a little bit, making it really interesting. Keep it nice and flat when they dry, and we'll just let them move around like that. So here I am ready for the next section. You can see I've already put the yellow in there. And then I'm going to do the same. I'm going to add this red around the edges. You can see that the paints are a lot more absorbent now because they've had some time to soak up the water and so I'm getting a little bit more of a vibrant color in there. And I'm just going to paint that around the edges and let nature do its thing. Let it soak into one another and let those colors mix or not mix or however they want to by themselves. You can see I can encourage it a little bit, but I don't want to encourage it too much. I want kind of it to do its own natural thing in there. And then I'll move on to the next section. So green, of course, is going to be yellow and blue for the leaf and the ground. I like to make the stem brown and the shadow brown. And you get brown by mixing the 3 primary colors, yellow, red, and blue. And I'll let you experiment with those and mix those. And then the background we like to do purple, almost like a night sky. And what we do is we'll add red as the lighter color first around there, and then touch the blue around the edges. And I'll see if I can find one that's finished so you can see. All right, so here's one where this one actually had green painted around the edges, and then we added some more blue to get a deeper green just around the edge. Here's the red sky in the background, and we added the blue for purple around the edges just to get that kind of mixture. This one you can tell is the orange and the blue kind of mixing together, and of course we got orange with the red and yellow. And then this is the yellow and green makes blue, or yellow and blue makes green, sorry, right there. So you kind of experiment with mixing some colors in here and just let them flow around wherever you want to. And you can see how the glue lines are going to stay nice and white on there for us. All right, be careful, have fun. If you don't get this all done in one day, that's fine. When you carry them over to let them dry, put them nice and flat. Don't hang them up because they will drip, drip. All right, bye-bye.